I'm Allison with MuchMusic.com, and I'm here with Patrick Stump. I'm so excited to talk to you. I've been listening to your EP
thank you.
non-stop.
Thank you.
Very exciting. So, talk to me about it. EP before the record. Why?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. Partially, I had kind of done a run-through of the album and ended up discarding a lot of it. And I wanted some place for that material to get released. So I kind of constructed, I kind of, took some of the better parts of what I had left behind that didn't really fit with another pass of the record and kind of built on that. But then secondly, I really care about this album. I really care about the Soul Punk album that's not out yet. I really want it to have, I really want people to judge it on its own merit, and so I wanted to kind of give as much warning as possible that it's going to be different. It's not going to be, wanted to get the shock of the, the jump in the water of, that it's not a rock record out of the way before the album, because I want people to think about the album beyond that superficial stuff. So.
Has there been backlash from Fallout fans?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's been some backlash, and there's been, it's really weird. I get the strangest backhand compliments where from on both sides, where people are like, "Oh, I hate your EP. Just go back to Fall Out Boy. I love Fall Out Boy so much." Like, as if that's going to make me feel, yeah, thanks. Or, man, I love it. I hated Fall Out Boy, but I like your record. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I do both.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of, you could just say one of those things.
Yeah.
You don't have to say the mean part.
And you recorded them together, of course, the EP and the album, because you just ended up splitting them.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's I started some of the songs. It's weird because I consider it like I consider albums almost like like books or or movies or something like that. It's a piece. It's a complete piece of work, right? So if in the middle, if in the middle of your sci-fi script you have an idea for it, you have an idea for a romantic comedy, you go and write that.
Yeah.
You're still you might take a scene that made more sense in this. And use it there. That's kind of how I think about it, is that Truant Wave kind of spelled itself out as a separate thing, and so I took a couple, so it was kind of concurrent, but oddly enough, I'd say that Soul Punk was pretty much finished before the EP was.
Right.
And the EP came out before Soul Punk was. So.
And is Truant Wave, I've heard that it's supposed to be a concept album almost, where there's a character?
I mean, just in so much as I guess there's a little bit of a concept in the kind of I had these songs, I had these like not scraps, but like I had to make some sense out of this, right? And so I looked at everything lyrically, and then what pieces I had like maybe 3 songs and 3 ideas for songs, and I was like, how do I put this all together? And in putting it together, I came up with this kind of earnest, honest kind of naive character early on in the record, and then by the end of it, or towards the middle of it, it's very materialistic and kind of dark, and then the end is very grizzled old man, just like don't make the mistakes I made, kind of thing. I feel like that's that's where the EP kind of ended up, which again was something that was fun to try, because I didn't really do that with Soul Punk. It's not really much of that. So.
And you talked about kind of easing people in with the EP, and when I heard the song Big Hype, I was thinking, when you go from a hugely successful band to a solo, there is the hype around it, that can he do it as a solo artist? Were you aware of that? Were you kind of knowing that people were watching you closely?
Well, yeah, I mean, because some people were telling me, and it was a very strange thing, because I feel like that's, there were a lot of people counting on the inborn audience of, Fall Out Boy fans, and I'm like, well, they're not necessarily going to like this. Just because I'm the guy from Fall Out Boy doesn't mean that Fall Out Boy fans are going to enjoy this. So I don't want to give anybody the impression that it's a good idea, especially like label management, everybody, like, don't count on it, Don't and it comes into lyrics, don't count on good fortune,
Yeah.
That's not what I wrote the song about, but it really resonated on that level,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was definitely aware of a certain degree of hype, but at the same time, there was also no expectations for me, because I I'm not the famous guy in Fall Out Boy. I mean, not to throw Pete under the bus, he got, you know, for whatever reason, people really, you know, he became famous, and, and whatever, he can't walk down the street, I can, I always have been able to. So, you know, and it's not like I, you know, there are some people that really know my stuff, and there was a certain, you know, some people really excited about the record, but there are a lot of people who just couldn't care less, and that really, I think that lent me a lot of, I got to be relaxed about it too, because I got to take my own time and everything, and it wasn't like, I didn't really feel like it was this big anticipated thing.
Yeah.
So.
And context is a funny thing, because you're a solo artist now, but if you hadn't been in Fall Out Boy, you'd just be this new artist. And
I'm so glad you say that, because that's exactly how I feel, is that, you know, it's so funny, you know.
His sound is so different.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe this is what Patrick always liked. Like, we don't really know.
That is verbatim. I mean, and that's really how I feel, is that, you know, it's like I was saying earlier, you know, when you think of solo artists that haven't been in bands, you don't call them solo artists.
Right.
You just call them by their name, you know.
Right.
And there is also the reality that, and I don't know why this is a weird concept for people, but when you're in a band, it's a compromise, and that's not in the pejorative. That means literally that you are compromising. You're meeting up somewhere in between the four of you. You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure at least one of the guys in AC/DC likes classical music or something like that. That doesn't mean that, you know, like, that doesn't mean that, you know, if outside of it, if they, you know, whatever, you know, maybe no one in AC/DC like. I'm just saying, like, you know, it's very rare that you ever find a band where all of them listen exclusively to the music they make, you know. And that's kind of one of the things, is that's why I felt the need to, not the need, but I felt like it made sense to do a solo record, because it was a lot of music that I've been writing this stuff for years, and it was stuff that made sense in some other context other than Fall. It didn't make sense in Fall Out Boy. So.
Right. And musically,
You said it better than I did, actually, in the question, so I really have nothing to say other than...
I liked your answer. That was good. And Fall Out Boy, there's always been the pop sound to it, which I'm sure was more so your influence, especially in the last record. Did you always know that you wanted to do stuff on your own?
Yeah, and I feel like it hurt the band a little bit, because I was subconsciously pushing a lot of my influence on them, and you know, there was a really even kind of, you know, not tug of war, just there's this even stasis, and I wasn't even intending to do it, but I feel like I started to push them in, you know, a little bit more in the R&B, you know, hip hop pop category, and it wasn't really something that they were necessarily comfortable with, so I think, again, it further necessitated, maybe if at very least this record and me doing this in perpetuity, because I want to do this forever, gets to exercise those demons, those R&B demons from Fall Out Boy. So.
And you recorded the whole album on your own? Like, you played all the instruments? It's very Lenny Kravitz of you. He does that as well. Was it kind of, I guess, freeing almost to go in the studio and be like, I can kind of do whatever I want? Not that you were confined by Fall Out Boy, but it's a different approach.
No, exactly. It was very smooth, because bands, you know, it's the difference between living alone and living with someone. Living with someone, you know, you're gonna argue once in a while. You're gonna, you know, someone's gonna complain that the dishes aren't done. But then you also have the benefit of company and someone to bounce things off of, and someone to talk to. When you live alone, it's very easy. There's no one to yell at you for not doing the dishes, you know, whatever. But there's also no one to talk to you, etc. You know, there's no one to go to the movies with, and that's kind of how I feel in the studio. Is that, like, you know, it was really easy. When I had an idea, I sat down and I recorded it. There was no discussion about it. There was no nothing, but there was also no, wow, that was awesome, man. That was a great idea. You know, whatever. That was all, you know, maybe you say to yourself, like, oh, that's pretty cool, but it's crickets around you.
Did you find yourself looking to producers more to kind of be like, does this sound right?
Well, no, I produced it too.
Produced
yeah,
it?
Yeah, and
Show off.
yeah, I'm great. No, but that was really the bigger challenge was. But I had the benefit of being a producer for a long time, not a long time, but I've produced a few records, so I had the benefit of being of you know, knowing the kinds of things that I say to other artists, and then kind of trying, you know, reminding myself them as well, like, you know. But it was weird because, you know, you say to the drummer, you know, I don't know if I think we're gonna have to cut this part, you know, it's your favorite fill, but you are the drummer, you know. You say to the lyricist, you know, I don't know about this phrase. I know you like it a lot, but it's not good. You are the lyricist.
Yeah.
So.
And I just want to say I was really excited that you worked with Lupe.
Oh, thank you.
Chicago boys.
Yeah, and I thought, just as far as perspective, I thought he was, you know, he and I are really on point with each other, so I thought it was really fun. It was
Yeah,
really cool to have.
that's a great track, and can't wait for Soul Punk to come back and play for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great meeting you.
You too.